Yo, what is up guys, and welcome back to McAdee's Entertainment. I'm your host as always, Adam McGahee. I'm sure by now most of you know me as the Marvel Zombies guy here on YouTube, but in case you're new here, hey, what's going on? I'm the Marvel Zombies guy on YouTube. Now I know everyone and their grandma is super excited about that new upcoming Daredevil Born Again show that's coming to Disney Plus this month. I'm cautiously optimistic. Disney Plus has gotten my hopes up before, and well, we saw what happened with the book of Boba Fett and like 90% of their Marvel and Star Wars stuff. I'm watching you, Disney. Regardless though, your boy has to chase that sweet SEO, so in celebration of the show, I'm going to be doing a re-upload of one of my older videos, and that's going to be the full gory story of Zombie Daredevil. Before we hop into that though, as always, I wanted to let you guys know that our superhero training program is live. If you're ready to get your confidence back and finally get in the superhero shape you've always dreamed of, you can contact me in the consultation form in the video description below. We can hop on a call and discuss your fitness goals and nerd out about comics. What's there not to love? Also, I'm sure you guys are hearing some sick beats playing in the background. Now your boy has to give credit where credit is due for this banger, and that comes from my boys and fellow friends of the show, the Country Hicks. Now if you're a fan of country and rap music, they are the best of both. Their album Life of a Hick absolutely slaps, and you can check it out on Spotify and right here on YouTube. So if you're feeling like a cowboy who needs his rap fix, these guys, they got your back. Now without further ado, let's get on with what you came here for, and that would be the full gory story of Zombie Daredevil. Who is he? Zombie Daredevil, like most of the other superpowered beings of this dimension, was infected with a mysterious virus that transformed them into undead monsters. He comes from Earth 2149, but his origin prior to the outbreak was very similar to the one we all know and love from the main Marvel universe of Earth 616. This all took a drastic change for the worse, however, one fateful day when Ash Williams, yes, the same groovy dude from the Evil Dead films, was mistakenly transported to this Earth after he was smacked here by a zombie version of the Sentry at the gates of heaven. Being somewhat confused at the strange new world he found himself in, Ash went to explore, only to be very confused at the sight of none other than Daredevil himself in the middle of a battle with the supervillain known as Thunderball. Not used to seeing such strange costume individuals, Ash debated on who to help in the fight, since he did not know who was the good guy or the bad guy. I understand, Ash. If I didn't know who Daredevil was, I'd absolutely think the dude in a bright red devil costume was a villain too. Before he could intervene, Ash was then intercepted by the spirit of the evil living book known as the Necronomicon, who possessed a nearby citizen. The entity then warned Williams that this world would soon be infected and fall to a plague of the undead. Being haunted by this thing across several worlds, Ash leapt onto the possessed old woman, only to get attacked by Daredevil, who thought that Ash was a villain. So much confusion here. There needs to be a pamphlet everyone on these worlds gets to distinguish between who is good and who is bad. It would make things so much easier. Just before Daredevil could clean Ash's clock, Thunderball saw this opening and took it by whacking Matthew with his oversized wrecking ball and slammed him through a wall. Bet you didn't see that one coming, Daredevil. Well, you can't see anything. Well, never mind. Thunderball then thanked Ash for the assist, while our naive hero shook his hand, thinking he had done some good. Only to discover the next morning in the Daily Bugle that he had helped the dude in an elaborate prison escape. Hey dude, it happens. We still love you, Ash. Upon reading the paper, Ash found out about this Earth's heroes and decided to pay a visit to the Avengers Mansion to warn them about the quickly approaching zombie sentry he had encountered in heaven. He then decided to get the Avengers' attention in the most direct way possible by blowing up their intercom with his boomstick. Hey, who needs to ring a doorbell when you have a good old-fashioned shotgun, right? The heroes then show up, ready to throw hands with the dude who just toasted their expensive voice box. Ash then tried his best to warn them, but due to his not-so-hot first impression, the Avengers chalked poor Ash up to being nuts and had Spider-Man web him up, who took him to the authorities. Shortly afterwards, Jarvis alerted the gang to a storm of mysterious purple lightning that had gathered in the middle of Manhattan. The team fired up the Quinjet and arrived, only to discover a rather disturbing sight on scene. Here they encountered the zombified version of the Sentry, who had followed Ash here from heaven. See guys, the dude at your house who you thought was crazy was telling the truth. Is it too late to say I told you so? The hungry hero then woke up and immediately attacked Colonel America and the others, who too were transformed into bloodthirsty zombies. They then began attacking and eating every terrified citizen in sight, much to the horror of Spider-Man, who swung through the city with Ash. Spidey did his best to save who he could from the undead Avengers, much to the dismay of Zombie Cap. The Star-Spangled Cannibal then made his way to the nearby rooftops, where he then pounced onto the wall crawler and took a chunk right out of his shoulder. Spidey then dropped Ash to the feet of some nearby undead, but due to his powers staving off the infection, was able to save Ash, who he then left to go check in on Aunt May and Mary Jane. Once he arrived back to their apartment, however, the virus then overrode his cells and took over, causing him to attack and consume his wife and aunt. As Spidey tore through his family's mutilated bodies, we then see an uninfected Nova who arrived to the Parker home to check in to see if things were alright. Much to Nova's horror though, he sees things were very far from okay. An ashamed and broken Spider-Man then screams at the hero not to look at him. He then leaps through the window and tackles Nova, ready to sink his teeth into this superpowered snack. Just before he could take a bite, he is then whacked in the back of the head by Daredevil's baton. The hero then arrived to the scene to finally put an end to this madness. Seeing that there is no turning back from this, Daredevil pleads for Nova to assist him in killing Spider-Man. A dumbfounded Nova, shocked at everything going on, hesitated to do such a thing to his former friend. Spidey, however, did not hesitate and quickly jumped at Daredevil, who he infected with the virus. Man, Nova, you just had to be a baby. We blame you for having zombie Daredevil on our hands. That may be just as bad as Peter Quill having his little meltdown on Thanos during Endgame. Maybe not so bad. Nova was understandable. Still mad at Peter Quill for that one. The newly infected Devil of Hell's Kitchen then swung through the city streets with Spidey, helping themselves to the horrified banquet of citizens below. In order to combat this quickly going threat, Nick Fury assembles all the non-infected supers aboard the helicarrier to plan a form of attack. The likes of Tony Stark and Reed Richards were tasked with finding scientific solutions to the virus, while the other heroes were sent as a ground team to battle zombie Daredevil and the others in the streets below. Sadly, however, our uninfected heroes were quickly overwhelmed by the growing might of the undead and were forced to retreat. Later on, Daredevil and the others became aware that Dr. Doom was harboring survivors at his castle in Latveria. He and his scientists had constructed a portal of their own that would allow them to escape to an alternate dimension. Wanting to get a nibble of the tasty foreign goods, Daredevil and the other zombie heroes then stormed the castle, with Colonel America leading the assault. Just before they could get through, Ash Williams had also found his way to the castle, where he worked with the Necronomicon to summon an army of the undead leftover humans that the zombies had left behind. The Deadite Legion then went to war with the hungry Avengers, giving Doom just enough time to get the remaining humans to safety. As the last person got through, Doom destroyed the device, but it was later repaired by Reed Richards, who used it to communicate with an alternate version of himself from the Ultimate Dimension. Man, these guys just don't give up, do they? Zombie Reed was then able to trick Ultimate Reed to come to this dimension, convincing the poor guy that they would get to work on projects together. Once he arrived, young Reed was quickly jumped by the zombie Fantastic Four, where he managed to escape to the sewers below. Hey man, maybe the Ninja Turtles down there can help you. What's that? Wrong franchise? Never mind. Upon arriving to the service thinking he was safe, Reed's presence was quickly sensed by Daredevil, who led a group of hungry heroes after the frightened stretchy man. Dude, how do his senses even work now? All these zombies must stink up to high heaven. I don't even see how he can sense anything amidst this nastiness. Just before Matt and the others could get their nasty mouths on Reed, they then witness an entire traffic jam's worth of cars hovering above them. The vehicles then came crashing down, blowing up several zombies in the process. The attack came from an uninfected Magneto, who saved Reed and led him to the small group of survivors that he was protecting. With the aid of Magneto and his fellow Ultimate Fantastic Four members, Reed and the others managed to make it back to the portal so they could get back to their dimension. Knowing that the door needed to be sealed off from the other side, Magneto opted to stay behind so he could destroy the machine and secure the safety of the multiverse. Man, Magneto definitely getting all the hero points for this one. As the heroes escape, Magneto blows the device up, locking the zombies in this miserable world to starve. Not too happy with the multiverse meat market being shut down, Daredevil and the other heroes then surround Magneto, declaring to get revenge. Sensing Magneto's exhaustion, Matt tells Magneto to give up, only for the former villain to declare that there was still plenty of fight left in him. The Master of Magnetism then uses his remaining strength to summon any nearby metal object, which he then tosses at the zombie horde. This causes a rain of shrapnel to rip through the hero's flesh, even causing a metal beam to pierce Daredevil's heart. Oh, how could you be so heartless, Daredevil? Get it? Because his heart is gone? Guys, I know I promised I'd be done with the puns, but I couldn't help that one. Not letting this mere flesh wound stop him, Daredevil and the rest relentlessly pursue Magneto, who then uses his powers to bring a legit building down upon them. Surprised at himself at how awesome this was, Magneto then gloats at the zombies, only for Wasp to sneak in from behind and rip the guy's throat out. Man, Magneto, haven't you ever played a video game? When you get a kill, you gotta make sure the coast is clear, then you taunt. Someone give this guy a Fortnite lesson, please. Immediately taking advantage of this opening, Daredevil and the gang then rip poor Magneto apart, resulting in a disturbing and violent end for the X-Men villain. After their fast food stop, Daredevil and the rest then kick back and wonder when and where they would get second breakfast. They then use this moment to reflect on the bizarre changes that this virus had on their biology. At this point, Spider-Man only had one leg hanging by a thread, the Hulk, now Bruce Banner, had several pounds of undigested Magneto rattling around in his stomach, and our boy Daredevil was missing his most vital organ of all, but was still functioning just fine. Well, as fine as a zombie can be anyway. Our blind hero then remarks that he only had one minor complaint, and that was that his ankles were swelling a bit. Giant Man Hank Pym then declared that this was not just minor swelling. Without his heart pumping blood through his body, gravity was forcing it all the way down to his lower extremities. Therefore, the swelling he was feeling was actually his legs filled up with blood. Ugh. Daredevil jelly donut, anyone? Thinking this would just slow him down, Daredevil then asked if anyone nearby had a knife so he could puncture his legs and let them drain out. Man, you thought accidentally ripping a garbage bag on a hot summer day was bad? Just imagine some nasty zombie just leaking his leg juice out next to you. Yeah, I don't want to picture that one. As they debated on what to do with their food supply basically gone, the zombies then see that fate may have just been in their favor, as they see the Silver Surfer himself, who arrived to the planet. The Herald arrived here on behalf of his master Galactus, who sent him here to scan the Earth to see if it was good enough to consume. So, Silver Surfer is basically like a cosmic health inspector, I guess? Upon seeing that it was just good enough, minus the mass cannibalism going on, the Surfer then flashed a blinding light in the sky and announced to the Horde that their time had come. Skipping the cutscene and just seeing a big old candy bar, the flying zombies attacked the Surfer, while poor Daredevil just kind of had to awkwardly sense stuff going on in the ground below. Poor dude was probably just as confused as Han Solo, who was blinded at the beginning of Return of the Jedi. The Surfer, disturbed at these bizarre creatures, did not take things lying down and blasted the miscreants with his cosmic energy. Not about to let this snack get away, Zombie Thor took a note out of Obi-Wan Kenobi's book and took the high ground and came crashing down upon the man, knocking him off his iconic board. Not letting this stop him, the Surfer continued blasting and zapping the Horde as Daredevil and the others closed in. Killing several heroes during this assault, things were looking bright at the Surfer's survival until Zombie Hulk busted in, grabbed the guy, and bit his head off. Oh, poor man. Hey, at least he got the high score in this round of Marvel Zombies. Hulk and a select group of other heroes then chowed down on the Surfer's corpse, while unlucky heroes like Daredevil were forced to watch. Upon consumption of the poor spaceman, Colonel America and the rest then noticed that they inherited the Surfer's powers like a gang of zombie Kirbys. Seeing this as a solution to the food shortage problem, these cosmic zombie Avengers then used their newfound power to fry up Daredevil and the rest, where they proceeded to eat them, only to say that no matter how much a zombie cooked, they still tasted awful. Man, that's gotta be insulting. Not only do you get cheated out of a meal by your zombie buds, but then they eat you, and then say you taste bad. This dimension is just wrong. The story opens up in the dark sewers of New York, where we see a crowd of people cheering on the iconic hero of Hell's Kitchen, the man without fear, Daredevil. Except something was not quite right with the man, as we see him mercilessly rip out someone's heart in front of the crowd. This would not just be a normal man. This would be a zombie who had his flesh eviscerated by the hero, who too was an infected, rotting corpse of the night. Being adored by the crowd, Matthew was restrained by his managers, who told the people to bring their money and whatever they had to gamble on the devil, for he was their greatest warrior they had in this disturbing makeshift gladiator arena. Being treated like a rabid dog, Murdoch was led to a murky cell where he was tossed into a hole of bones, where he was given a bag of human flesh to dine on for his victory in battle. Despite being infected with the Marvel Zombies virus, part of Matt's humanity still resided within his rotting body, as he was haunted by internal voices of the man he once was, even further tormented by visions of the actions he had committed, such as tearing off Black Widow's face and gouging out a man's eyes, all for the twisted pleasure of these supposed human survivors of this mysterious plague. Suddenly, Daredevil was broken out of his nightmare, where he was visited by his old friend and rival, Frank Castle, aka the Punisher. Having brutally murdered the hero's handlers, as he rightfully should have, Castle spoke to Matt's human side, telling him he could lace him with explosives to end his misery and take these monsters with him in the process. Agreeing to this, Matt was able to control his hunger long enough to let Frank go to work on his mangled body. The next day, Murdoch was led by a new band of soldiers into the arena, where we see his bloodied, bloated anatomy struggling to walk into the fighter's den. Seeing that the man looked a bit off, the vagrants brushed it off, for they wanted to see him fight so they could get their money. They would certainly receive their payment in blood though, as the Punisher from the streets above would activate the bombs within Daredevil's intestines, killing the hero and taking these subhuman monsters to hell with him.